this is perhaps the most essential foundation for doing energy work and clearing your energetic fields and accessing that ESP. I call this breathing in starlight. Now, this is a very hard thing to describe, especially with words. And essentially how I see it is I break it down into 3 different components. The first one is the more basic, the second one is moderate, and the third one is advanced. And that's when you get to part 3, that is when you truly gain subtlety of breath, when you can breathe not just with the body but with spirit. So this is breathing in starlight. Quickly, I'm going to describe what breath actually is, because we need to reorder how we think about these things and what they are with reality, so that we can actually get results. And then I'm going to further talk about the process. So, breath is spirit. If you go to the Latin, spiritus is breath, to breathe. The breath of life. God breathed life into the heavens and expanded it. God breathed life into the earth and expanded it. Now, why is breath so important? Breath, my friends, is spirit. It's the animating force. It's what animates matter. Okay? It's the animating force. So when you have an imagination, when you create a form in your mind, and your mind is all around you, remember this, your mind is all around you, right? The brain is just a processing unit. The mind is the energetic field surrounding you. When you create a form in your mind, say you're enveloped in a golden blanket of sunshine, right? And then you breathe life into it, meaning you start breathing through it, right? Just like in my Healing Hands video, when you start breathing through your hands as if your hands were your lungs, right? You need to disassociate this purely physical standpoint of how you see the body and how this works. Because we have many bodies, and breath goes through all of them, okay? So what we need to do is create a form in our mind, create an imagination, and then breathe through it, breathe life into it, right? And then await with an open perception in deep meditation, breathing life into these forms, and the energy will come to life and begin to move again. This is transmuting that darkness. And so this is all about subtlety of breath and gaining subtlety of breath. This is really like, once you're tapping into ESP and energy work, this is the thing that you need to learn and will guide you the rest of the way. Subtlety of breath. Okay, so breathing in starlight. It's the way I like to think about it. It's the most subtle breath. And to gain that ability, there's 3 steps to it. And try all 3 of these and keep trying them. And through like daily meditations with these, you will gain subtlety of breath, and you will gain fullness of breath, where you can breathe not just in this restricted area, but throughout the whole body and all the bodies, throughout all the energy fields. And when you can do that, you can move all that energy, okay? Breath is the animating force. Okay. The first one. This is breathing through the cells. So we imagine your whole body. And again, before you do any of these meditations, relax your whole body, right? Make sure your mind's kind of awake, and then you go into these, right? This isn't just how you start the meditation. Do your own induction. I don't need to go into that. This is for people who are seeking, the higher path. So, once you're in your meditation, try this technique. Listen to it now. Try it later. Essentially, we are filled with these vibrating atoms and cells, right? Our whole body is composed of these spherical, microscopic vibrating units, right? And I want you to imagine that every single time you breathe, right, you are pulling energy through these, right? So when you inhale, I don't want you to just inhale expand your lungs, I want you to imagine you are expanding every part of your body, every cell of your body, to take in that prana through everything, through all the pores of your skin, right? And this is a ongoing practice until you can breathe a breath of life through all of your body at once, centered in oneness, right? Like in the center of your chest, right? It's where your focus is, and all your skin opens up and you breathe through all of it. This is pure expansion, okay? So breathing through all the cells. To begin this, go to your hand, go to the center of your chest, and imagine that you are actually not breathing with your lungs, but you're pulling air through the skin itself, and the skin is relaxing and expanding to let it in, right? And then when you exhale, you're breathing out through it, right? So you're creating flow through every cell in the body. Link your breath to that, and then try to start breathing through every cell of the body at once, right? Start small, get the hang of this and what I'm saying, right? Apply it in your own ways, try it many different ways, right? All of these techniques I'm about to dole out here are major keys, but you need to apply them and change them and alter them. Use the foundation, right? And create your own system. But these are major keys that I've discovered after years of trying this shit. So that's part one. And essentially, when you do all three of these together, you do that one first because it enlivens the body. Also, you become hyper aware of how every part of your body is feeling because you're breathing through all of it, as if the whole body was pulsing with each breath, as if each cell was opening and allowing ether to flow through it with each breath. Okay? So now, part two, instead of breathing through the cells, I call this one the cocoon of light. So imagine that a blanket, all these different streams and veins of energy just got laced around you like a big chrysalis, like a big cocoon, right? In this chaotic pattern. Don't try to be rigid with your mind and form in how this stuff lays around you, how the blanket envelops you. Just realize that every inch of your skin, right, at the edges of it and expanding a few inches off your skin, is this crawling, whirling field of light, okay? All these different streams of energy. Maybe it wraps down your jaw, right? Then through the middle of your chest and then around your back, and nothing within the body. All these streams is laying on the edges of your skin, right? And when you start breathing, I want you to imagine that these streams start slowly moving and rushing faster, right? And then bring in your own imagination of what that feels like, right? So imagine when you're breathing in, you're pulling light throughout and around your whole body, this golden light, this white light. How does it feel? What does it look like? What's the sensation? Is it bliss, ecstasy, comfort, right? And I'm sorry about all these noises going on around me. Nothing I can do about that. I just need to get this information to you because it's clear in my mind. So you created this field of whirling light in this chaotic mess, like a rubber band ball that just brushes the edges of your skin, right? And after you have done the first technique, which was breathing through each cell, right, you're very hyper aware of where you have blockages, where it's tight, where you don't have much awareness. Wherever you can't feel is a blockage, right? So now what I want you to do is completely put all your breath into the outside, into this field that's just inches off your skin and brushing every part of you, right? Put all your breath into it and completely allow your body to decompress. Just let go of everything, right? And then just go into it. So take a very deep breath, right? compress huge amounts of light, pull huge amounts of light into this field, into the streams of energy that are caressing your body like a golden blanket everywhere, moving, right? Pull huge amounts of energy, and then release your breath. And depending on how much you do breath work and meditate, right? That exhale could last 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. For me, I've exhaled for 2 minutes before, right? And it's just this decompression. And when you hit zero, when you're fully decompressed, right? I want you to move all sensation away from body. Completely align your identity and self and breath and imagination with this cocoon around you, right? And let the body go. Let it do whatever it wants. The body's gonna do this metamorphosis, right? Things are gonna start shifting and popping if you do this right? And this is because you filled the body with light, right? And now wherever your attention goes, wherever your focus goes, energy flows, right? So now all this light is whirling around you, and you have completely identified with the energy. You don't identify with the physical, you identify with the energy. You breathe as that energy, right? And your imagination's going, you feel it on the edges of your skin, right? You're identifying it with it, you're breathing with it, and completely let go of the body. Imagine it didn't exist, as if you had a cast, like you broke your arm, you had a cast on, right? And then you just completely let go of that arm, right? And it just kind of faded, and the cast was all that's left. And when that cast was removed, your arm was like completely just in the energetic state, pure flowing energy, right? So you need to disassociate from all you feel in the body. Let things pop, pull, like whirl. Like honestly, once you get deeper and deeper and deeper and further along this path, and more subtle with your breath, and better with your identity, a more fluid belief system. So essentially, you're becoming a more masterful alchemist, transmuter of darkness, right? That literally massive metamorphosis happens. Like muscles start shifting, the whole DNA is rearranged. So that's part 2, and that's the chrysalis of light that's whirling around you, right? You're breathing through that. Part 3. This is breathing in starlight. Okay, I want to reference the Hermetica real quick. And in Hermetica, Hermes talks about how man's soul has many layers around it. These layers of more and more subtle fields of energy, right? And the more muddied those are, the more dark those are, the more in darkness that soul exists, right? The more darkness exists around him, the stronger the bonds and the bondage of the flesh in this world, right? So, and these fields extend very far out, getting more and more and more subtle. So this breathing in starlight, I call it that because starlight I see as like the most subtle light. This very just faint light that we can barely perceive, right? And we're going to start breathing this in a couple feet away from us. Imagine like an egg around you. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody who watched this on YouTube. The rest of this is going to be my Patreon. Just because I'm making a full course with these kind of meditations, and you can await that, or subscribe to my Patreon and get the more advanced stuff, just because it's not even very appropriate for the YouTube audience. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let's continue on, all you seekers out there.